time a customer calls with a problem, it kicks off this frantic race. A race to fix it, a race to track all the costs, and of course, a race to get paid. So today, we're going to unpack how you can win that race every single time using SAP's service order management process, also known as 3D2. We're going to follow that digital trail that takes a simple call for help and turns it into a perfectly executed, paid job.
So it all starts with something that sounds so simple, right? A customer calls. Their equipment is down and they just need you to fix it. On the surface, seems totally straightforward. But, as anyone who's actually in this business knows, what comes next is where things get complicated.
And boom, the questions start flying. Do we even have the right parts in stock? Which technician is actually available and has the skills for this job? How in the world do we figure out what this is going to cost? And maybe the most important question of all, how do we make sure we send the right bill that accounts for every part, every expense, and every minute of work? Yeah, this is where a simple call can turn into total chaos.
But what if there was a clear path through all that noise? A digital trail you could follow for every single job? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to trace the life of a service request as it moves through SAP S4HANA Cloud and see how it turns that chaotic phone call into a smooth, organized, and profitable project.
You see, the solution to this kind of chaos isn't just about hiring more people, it's about having a rock-solid process. And the absolute heart of that process is one single, super powerful digital document, the service order.
So what exactly is a service order? Think of it like the master file, the single source of truth for an entire job. It's not just a request form, it's more like a dynamic digital container. It's built to hold every single piece of information, from the initial plan to the parts you use, the hours your technician works, and finally, all the dollars and cents you need for billing. Everything for that job lives right here.
All right, so let's actually follow one of these service orders on its journey. It's a really logical path that takes us all the way from the moment that job is created to the moment that cash is sitting in the bank. This whole journey really breaks down into 3 core phases, and getting these is key. First up is planning. This is where we get everything ready. Second is execution, which is when the real work happens out in the field. And finally, billing, where we collect the money for a job well done. Let's dig into each one.
So, we kick things off with planning. Now, this is the most crucial first step because this is where you set the job up for success before anyone even picks up a tool.
During the planning phase, someone like a customer service manager will create that service order, and they'll put in their best guess for costs and what you'll make on the job. But here's where the system starts getting really smart. If the job needs a specific part that you don't have in stock, the system automatically creates a purchase requisition. It's like having a digital assistant making sure you never forget to order what you need.
And this right here shows you just how connected everything is. Our service process, which has the code 3D2 in SAP, sees that we need a part. It then seamlessly passes that request over to the procurement process, which is 3NI. It's like a perfect digital handshake between the service and purchasing departments, and it's all orchestrated by that service order.
Okay, the plan is locked in, the parts are on the way. Now we get to move into the execution phase. This is where the technician on the ground really takes center stage.
So, after the job is done, the technician posts something called a service confirmation. Now listen, this is way more than just a job done checkbox. This single action is a powerhouse. It automatically posts the technician's time to their timesheet, it records any expenses they had, like travel, and it pulls in the actual costs for the parts from the supplier invoices. It captures reality and feeds it all right back into our service order.
The work is done, all the costs are captured. There's only one thing left to do, and from a business point of view, it's the most important step, getting paid. Welcome to the billing phase.
The real beauty of this last phase is just how automated it is. Once the service order or that confirmation gets an approval stamp, the system basically takes over. It automatically generates a billing document request, which then turns into the final invoice that gets sent to the customer. This whole flow makes sure the path from finishing a job to getting paid is fast, accurate, and totally seamless.
Okay, so we've walked through the process, but who and what is actually making all of this happen behind the scenes? Let's take a quick look at the key people and the foundational data that make this entire system tick.
It really does take a team. You've got the customer service manager who gets the ball rolling. The service technician is your boots on the ground doing the actual work. Then you have the billing clerk making sure the invoices are spot on. And of course, the inventory manager who handles the physical movement of parts. Each person has a clear role and the system gives them exactly the tools they need to do their job right.
Now, for this whole beautiful process to work, the system needs a solid foundation of information. We call this master data. Here's a good way to think about it. The stuff that happens during a job is transactional data. Master data is the core info that doesn't really change, like who your customer is, what service you're actually selling, and how much it costs.
And this master data is everything. You've got to have clean records for your business partners, your customers and suppliers. You need clear definitions for your service products, and you absolutely need accurate pricing. If you get this foundation right, the whole automated process we've just talked about runs like a dream.
So, we've walked through the how, but let's wrap up with the why. Why go through all the trouble of setting up a process like this? Well, the business benefits are frankly huge.
First off, you get a genuinely integrated system. Your planning, your field team, your parts management, it all happens in one place. You can say goodbye to disconnected spreadsheets and apps that don't talk to each other. It's just one single seamless flow of information.
Second, you get real-time financial data. When a technician confirms their work, those costs hit the books immediately into what SAP calls the Universal Journal. This means no more waiting around for some complicated month-end report. A manager can look at a job and see exactly how profitable it is, right now.
And third, the automation of all that admin work is a massive win for efficiency. Just think about all the hours you save when timesheets and expense reports are basically created automatically from the work that's already been logged in the field. This frees up your technicians to do what they're best at, solving customer problems.
So if we boil it all down, the service order management process takes a potentially chaotic customer request and turns it into a structured, visible, and predictable journey. It flawlessly connects your planning team, your field team, and your finance team, all centered around that one powerful source of truth, the service order.
And that brings us to one final thought. Once you have all this clean, structured, real-time data about every single service job you do, what's next? How could you start using this incredible wealth of information to predict what your customers will need next, or to optimize your resources, or maybe even to create entirely new kinds of services? The possibilities are pretty fascinating to think.
Hey everyone! So in any service business, there's this really critical journey that happens every day, turning a customer's problem into a paid invoice. Today, we're going to trace that exact path